Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gear Hall of Shame. Today we're going to be looking at BRYG, who is currently one of the best farmers in the game. The only other person who might be better than her is BRYG, and BRYG and BRYG can be used for XP farming, rift farming, and they are really going to be the best assets you can have in the game right now. So I got BRYG a long time before I got BRYG, so I've really invested into her build, and I'll take a moment at the end of this video as well to comment on where I've tried to use her in the past and some tips of what she might need to do her best in some of the farming scenarios. So first of all, let's get into her gear. So you can see from my gear sets, I've got a Berserker set and a Charge set. I would like to say that the Charge set is absolutely not necessary. I did it because I thought it was an interesting thing to do for war, so that's the only reason I have it. If you're not interested in doing something like that, you don't need it. It is slightly useful if you want to farm Cursed Gate with her, because with the reviving Violentina, sometimes the charge set can help her charge a little bit more quickly to kill off the Violentina. However, most people just farm in Tenebris. Tenebris number 3 in Hell is the best place for farming if you want both efficiency and maximum HP gain. So usually, unless there's Purple Hunter, I would not recommend that you bother with Cursed Gate. So if we look at BRYG's stats, the only stats I really care about with her as a farmer is going to be related to how much damage she does. And this is why she's a far better farmer than a conventional hero like Soliana, Premislav, or Lumina that have been used in the past. Because if we look at the passive ability, obviously BRYG fires her special ability at the first turn. So the speed of your heroes doesn't really matter. BRYG will go off regardless. And that's really why both her and BRYG are such powerful farmers. You can do a 5-second farming run in Tenebris 3, no problem at all. And with Soliana, let's say it used to be 8 seconds. Yes, it's only a 3-second difference, but that 3 seconds is almost a 50% improvement. So it is a really significant efficiency increase when you do hundreds of farming runs at a time. So when it comes to how we can increase her damage, she does damage based on her attack. So it's going to be all about building the attack, the CR, and the CD. Now for conventional farming, we can expect that we might bring BRYG against heroes that are anything but blue, so red, green, yellow, and purple, and also astral or white are fair game. White, I mean the Moon Dust Rift. So for those heroes, we want a crit rate of at least 100. And for a farmer, it's actually extremely important that we hit the 100 mark. 99 isn't going to cut it, because in that one time out of 100, so let's say once every 25 battles, you're going to fail to kill an enemy, and that's going to be really annoying because it's not going to allow you to clear the whole wave with one fire of the passive ability. So it's really important to hit that 100 mark, and that's why I've got 103 in there, even though the 3 is a little bit unnecessary. If you're going to be bringing her against blue heroes, you could consider building the CR to 115. either from the gear itself or by adding a relic, or you could do what I've done in some of my rifts videos. You can check the 3 ways to blue dust rifts. You can also check my 3 ways to Goliath rift. Sometimes I use BRYG and BRYG at the same time to get that extra damage in. And I'm building a little bit of CD in there as well. The exact numbers don't really matter. The combination of attack and CD is what you're looking for. So you want to be testing her in all of the places you are using her to make sure that she can indeed kill the enemies with 1 fire of her special. And that is where the cabinet can also come in really handy. So you can see some of my cabinet stats here. I've built her attack and her CD so that those stats are augmented without me having to do much heavy lifting from the gear. It's also really nice if you manage to max her passive ability. I think that increases the damage that she does. So let's look at the individual gear pieces. So you can see that I've not put maximum effort into this. I haven't leveled up her weapon completely. I could level it to 15 to get roughly 60 more attack points in there. If we look at this piece of gear, it's a 6-star Berserker piece of gear. I've gone for the Berserker set because I don't care about her HP, and this is going to increase her damage by 45%, which is very significant. And on this particular piece of gear, I've got attack percent, I've got speed, which is not needed, and I've got CR, and the attack and the CR are what I'm looking for here and what I'm benefiting from. If we look at the helmet, this is a 5-star charge helmet. The 5-star doesn't matter because as a farmer, she's not going to be taking damage. She's going to be hopefully killing the heroes before they get any damage in. So I've got a little bit of CD substat in here. This is not a very good piece of gear, but since charge is an unfarmable gear set, then sometimes we just have to work with what we've got. For the shield, I've got a 6-star legendary piece of gear. So I've got a CD substat with 1 roll, a speed substat with 1 roll, CR substat with 1 roll, an accuracy substat with 1 roll. So as a farmer, it's only the CD and CR that I'm looking for. But since I do use BRYG in war as well, actually the speed and the accuracy is not bad because BRYG does inflict decreased speed on the enemies. That can be quite useful to inflict on your enemies right at the start of the battle. So that's where the accuracy comes in slightly handy. If we look at the gloves, so I'm using CR gloves here. I actually don't really prefer using CR gloves because it's much harder to build damage using CR gloves than it is to use CD gloves. And you can see in some of my attacker builds, for example, Rosalia and Akuma, where I've tried to go for CD gloves as much as possible. And I do discuss a little bit more on how hard it is to get the CD substats and how we might build both CR and CD at the same time. So in this case, I want to be saving my really good CD gloves for my actual damage dealers. And I want to build for BRYG that is sufficient, not super. Okay? There's a very big difference in having an excellent gear for a hero and a gear that is good enough to do its job because you want to save the really good stuff for the heroes that you really, really, really want to shine. And this is a workhorse hero. This is not a superhero, superstar, celebrity hero. So I've got defense and HP percent substats here. This is quite nice for war. Accuracy is there as well. The attack percent is quite nice there. So it's not a terrible piece of gear. It's pretty good considering it's a non-farmable charge gear. If we look at the chest, this is a 5-star rare piece of gear. So the disadvantage there obviously is that it's not a 6-star piece. I've got some CD substats there with 2 rolls, so that's quite okay. I've got then some mixture of HP, flat, and percentage substats. I've got a flat defense substat. So this is not an excellent piece of gear, to be honest. It could be better. But for me, this is good enough right now, so there's no immediate reason to swap it out. Final piece of gear is 6-star epic boots. So I have an attack percent boot here, which is gonna help increase my damage output. I've got 3 rolls on the CD, which is really nice for improving my CD here. I've got some accuracy, HP, and defense, both percentages on the HP and the defense, which is going to help me again in the war. And you can notice that in these pieces of gear, I really don't have many CR substats, and that's okay because I've got that big CR main stat on my gloves that really gives me a lot of flexibility to use some of my more mediocre pieces of gear on BRYG and save some of my better pieces for other people, because I don't really need that much CR in substats. I can build the CD a little bit, and I'm getting the main stat in attack from both the chest and the boots here. So this is, I would say, maybe a 5 out of 10, a 6 out of 10 build for BRYG. And to be honest, this is actually more than enough if the only place you're going to be using her for is XP farming. And for me, it used to be the case that I was only using her for XP farming. I've seen people use her for XP farming at 550 rather than even at 6 stars. But for me, the game changer is really being able to use heroes like BRYG and BRYG in Rift farming as well. And that's why I created my 3 Ways to Rift series, to help you see what a big difference it can make when you can speed farm, when you can do your rifts in under 1 minute. It makes such a big difference to your game because you can acquire the gear and the dust so much more quickly, especially the gear. And the gear is where you're going to make the biggest difference in how you can play the game. It's going to be the key way to how you can grow and improve your roster as a player. So my advice has always been to spend as much time as possible in the Phoenix and Witch rifts, and being able to do less than 1 minute in gear farming in those rifts is going to be the #1 investment that you can ever make in this game. Full stop. Not going to change my mind probably ever. So if you want to use her in farming for gear, this is going to be significantly more challenging because the gear mobs are sturdier than the campaign mobs. So what I found is these kinds of stats are good enough. So I've got like a 5k attack and a 140-ish CD. I don't want to come out with any hard numbers. Just play with whether she works in the rifts. And if she does, that's a big thumbs up. So it's no use remembering numbers if they don't work for you, right? So the key thing is to test and confirm. And if we look at Phoenix Rift, Phoenix level 20 is red mob, so we still need the 100% CR, which is green mobs, but they are quite sturdy. So we still need to have high damage output here. We can also look into trying to get the Cyclone Relic on her if the Cyclone Relic is available to you. It's really nice to have the maxed Cyclone Relic that will really improve her damage a lot. And I've seen people use the Golden Cyclone Relic on her to take out the mobs in Witch 20. Another place we might consider using BRYG is the Dust Rifts. So all of the dust rifts, in fact, apart from potentially the blue dust rift. Again, I've got videos for all of the rifts, and in these 3 ways videos, I'm always presenting kind of a free-to-play friendly team, my own team that I use, and like a funky different team. And BRYG is always there in almost every single free-to-play team. So you're gonna see her in all of the rift videos that I released. And the most difficult rift there, apart from the blue one, obviously, is going to be the moon dust rift, because the mobs there are pretty tanky as well. And we want to make sure that she's able to take them out. So again, the same thinking process. Try to see which stats work for you. Test and confirm. Try with the golden cyclone relic if you need help. So with the farmers, it's always going to be a question of trial and error, and very much the same with BRYG. With BRYG, it's a little bit easier because being a legendary hero, he naturally does a lot more damage than BRYG is able to do. So you are definitely going to have an easier time with BRYG, and that's why I feel like it is still wishlisting BRYG even if you have BRYG. But I do understand, as some newer players or some people who might have different heroes wishlisted right now, maybe BRYG is the one that you want to focus on. And I hope that this video then has been useful and interesting to you. If it has, please do give a like or comment below. Really just helps the algorithm. Share it with someone, even if you can share it to one other person. That helps so much with getting the views, and with getting the views, that helps me to get more redeem codes back to you guys. So it's you helping yourself, isn't it? And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.